Hello everyone, in this video we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So which one should you choose? Well, as we talk about the cons and pros of each one, while doing so you can see me playing Halo. Oh, yeah, you're probably gonna say to yourself, oh wait, you're playing Halo, you are an Xbox fan. Well, let's say it like that. Well, I am a fan of a console which can provide me the best games to play. But there's much more to it, and I'm going to share this in this video. Now, 2 days ago, I decided to play Halo for the first time, and I did it because I really wanted to see kind of whether I should be invested in the Xbox Series X because of certain titles that should be released to the Xbox Series X and PC. Now, I do own a PC, but it's not that powerful. Still, I can play quite a lot of games on it. I own, by the way, if you want to know, a 1660 Ti GTX Nvidia card. But for the sake of discussion, we need to kind of move the PC that I own aside. And I'm talking about players who don't have a gaming PC and need to decide between either the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X and can afford buying both. Now, you need to understand that even with my computer, I definitely prefer, for example, buying either console, either the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5 in order to experience next-gen gaming, because those two consoles have a much more powerful graphics card compared to what I have. And I know that any game that will be developed for next-gen console will look at its best. Probably at the same league they will look on a PC, high-end PC. Now, I won't dive too much into the in-depth technical details. We want to keep this kind of discussion moving kind of forward, and of course we're going to continue it in the comment section below. I really want to hear what you have to say. Now, in terms of performance, now we've seen the performance when it comes to teraflops between the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, but of course this is not the only thing. There are differences in SSD which goes in favor of the PlayStation 5 than the Xbox Series X. The question is, at the end of the day, how developers can harvest these amazing power of both consoles to deliver next-gen experiences. And I think we're going to see for both consoles amazing games. I don't think there's going to be a game which will be available for both consoles which you're going to see a big difference. I don't see it coming. And of course, if there is an exclusive game, well, it doesn't really matter because you won't be able to compare it anyway. The only thing we can think about is whether there's going to be an exclusive game for the console, for the Xbox Series X, for example, that can really harness the power of the console and really showcase something that we might haven't seen on the PlayStation 5. But whether this will happen, well, we need to wait and see. But again, from what I've read, any game that will come to the Xbox Series X will also be available for PC as well. And just a bit of technical details when it comes to SSD hard drive, the Xbox Series X hard drive has a throughput of 2.5 gigabytes a second, whether the PlayStation 5 has a throughput of 5.5 gigabytes a second. So really impressive. So this is the part where the PlayStation 5 is actually better than the Xbox Series X when it comes to the SSD speed. Now, when it comes to the graphic card, we know that the Xbox Series X has 12 teraflops compared to the PlayStation 5, which has 10.28 teraflops. So bottom line in, when it comes to performance, I personally don't see I don't think we're going to see like a big difference. There might be a difference, but it won't be substantial. And again, the PlayStation 5 does have advantages when it comes to the SSD performance. So again, we're going to see how each one will actually differ. I don't think we're going to see something that, there isn't something that will make me prefer one console over the other when it comes to performance. You also need to understand there are going to be plenty of games that won't harness the entire performance capabilities of the hardware, right? So again, there will be some games, but don't expect any game to like really take full use of the GPU's power to really deliver kind of all glory next-gen experiences. Alright, next is games and exclusive, probably the most important thing to consider here when deciding between the two consoles. Now, when it comes to exclusives, well, the Xbox Series X probably won't have exclusive because every game will be available for Windows 10 PCs as well. So that being said, that raises a question, right? Whether a developer that develops for a single console, an exclusive game for the console, can actually create a game that is more optimized and use resources instead of testing, debugging, and releasing games for many different graphic cards to really put effort in delivering a game that just looks amazing on a single console. And whether this can actually push the boundaries and makes a game look even better compared to a game that was designed for other platforms as well. Now, we can also expect exclusive games for a console to really kind of play the best it can be, right? Because we see some, when you port a game from console to PC, you don't really get, sometimes it doesn't work that well, right? We see this with Horizon Zero Dawn, it ported to PC. Of course, it takes time, and after some time, there are some fixes, and eventually you're gonna get a good gameplay experience. But overall, I think when you get a game that was designed specifically for the console, I think that developers will be able to deliver even a better or bigger game because they're going to focus on one on the console instead of optimizing the game for many platforms. But this, of course, has a disadvantage. For example, if you have a multi-platform game and it's a multiplayer game, for example, you're going to have a larger play base compared to a game that is kind of confined to a single system. Now, as we know, Sony is ton of different with compared to what Microsoft is doing with its approach. Microsoft is actually doesn't really care if you're gonna get a PC or you're gonna buy the Xbox Series X. It cares about the services, the Xbox Game Pass subscription, and of course there are many advantages for this, and I'm going to talk about it in a moment. But in general, I think that when it comes to exclusive, I actually put my trust in Sony to deliver better exclusive, and this is based on my experience and the games that I enjoy playing. Now, this can be different than what you think, right? Because, well, you might like certain games and certain type of genres that you see more being released on the Xbox, whether on the PlayStation 5 you're going to see games, or maybe some other type of exclusive games for the different studios that each company has that you enjoy the games that are developing. So for example, we need to look at games that previously released for the console that you might expect to have a sequel down the road. For example, I really like The Last of Us, so I'm looking forward to see The Last of Us, maybe The Last of Us 2 optimized for the PlayStation 5, or down the road, The Last of Us 3. But this can be, of course, other PlayStation 4 exclusive that you really enjoy playing on the PlayStation 4 and you really want to play a sequel on the PlayStation 5. Now, it's not just about the games, but also about the creativity of the game studios and what type of games they are enjoying making. And here I'm talking about first party, right? Studios that owned by Sony and studios owned by Microsoft. For example, when it comes to Sony, I like Insomniac Games and Naughty Dog. And although we can expect some of their biggest titles to be released on the PlayStation 5, for example, we can expect maybe The Last of Us 3 to be released for the PlayStation 5. We already know there's, for example, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart will be released for the PlayStation 5 by Insomniac Games. We can also expect other type of games from these studios to be released for the PlayStation 5 down the road. So we can pinpoint the studios that you think they are really great and you can expect great games from them, and this is something to consider as well. Now, there are two subscription services. For Sony, it's PS Now, and for Microsoft, it's Game Pass. Now, the cool thing about these subscription services is that allow you to run games on PC as well, and some of the games were actually before consoles exclusive and they're released for the PC as well. Now, when it comes to the Xbox, well, it's really kind of it doesn't really matter because you're gonna get games available for both. But with the PlayStation Now, well, there are games that previously only available for the PlayStation, for example, Bloodborne, and you can play them on the PC as well. Now, the thing is that with the PlayStation Now, I don't see Sony actually releasing its kind of its big exclusive for the PlayStation Now. Definitely not on day one. If this happens, I would be really surprised. And this is actually the area where actually the Xbox Game Pass has an advantage. So actually players can benefit from the subscription service to play games both on, they can even play both on PC, they play on the Xbox, and can even play streaming on an Android device. You can do a comparison yourself and see which one fits your own needs, but the thing is that if you play on the Xbox Series X and you don't own a PC, but you have friends that have a PC and don't have an Xbox Series X, well, you're most likely to be able to play cross-platform, right? But if you look at games that are available through the subscription service in PS Now compared to your friends that have the PlayStation 5, you probably won't be able to play with them, especially kind of the exclusive games that probably won't be available even on the PlayStation Now. Now, as I told you, again, it depends on the game, so this is kind of a title by title basis, but imagine like multiplayer games, like playing on like two platforms and with a larger play base, well, this is a great advantage. Now, I am an Xbox Game Pass subscriber and I love their service. There are so many games. You're gonna save so much money on games, and they're putting different type of genres every time. But for me, I found so many games that I enjoy playing. Now, hopefully, you're gonna find this as well. Well, the thing is that why this service is great? Well, because there are so many gamers out there. You just can't afford buying a new game every single day. And you know, there's so many great games that you just can't experience, and it feels kind of bad, right? There's so many games that if you look in the past, you know, you can see so many games that, you know, I haven't played, for example, and I really wanted to play. Now, this is why sometimes people wait until they get, you know, there's a discount on their game and then they buy it. But when it comes, for example, for multiplayer games, you really want to play them fresh, because after some time, people won't play it probably. And this is why I love free-to-play games, because everyone who wants to try the game can try it out, like Fortnite, for example. But of course, it doesn't work for every game, for every company. So overall, I think that here, Microsoft has an advantage. Alright, next thing is design and cooling system. When it comes to cooling system, again, we need to wait and see, right? We need to benchmark it and test it, maybe with the same kind of games, and see how each one performs. But from what I've seen, it seems like in terms of design and the cooling system that the Xbox Series X might have an advantage here. The thing is that if you go to Xbox product page, you're going to see that I think that more than half of the page that explains about the console talks about the cooling system. Now, when it comes to design, well, this is of course completely subjective. I've read so many different opinions. I know sometimes, you know, even when I look at the console and people say the PlayStation 5 will look a bit dated, to be honest, yes, for me, yes. When I look at the PlayStation 5 now, after like, you know, knowing how it looks, you know, for quite some time, it just feel, and look at it now, it just feel outdated. I agree. And in terms of the Xbox Series X, yeah, it's a kind of a timeless design. But overall, who buys a console, you know, because how it looks, right? For me, it really doesn't matter. Now, when it comes to 20:9 ultra-wide support, well, nothing that I can find. It's all assumptions, and you know, some say that both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X will support, some say they will never support. Well, no information about that. If you have information about that, please let me know in the comment section below. Alright, let's talk free games. Now, this is kind of related to the subscription service, and I'm going to explain in a moment. I'm not talking about games like Fortnite that's available for everyone for free, right? Doesn't matter which platform you play it. I'm talking about games which will be available through the subscription service. Now, maybe free is not the right word, but you know, if you consider the price of the subscription service and what you get for it, and if you enjoy many of the games that are being released, you're going to see that you're actually paying a very, very low price for them, right? A few dollars, you know, a month, and you can get like even several like AAA titles, you know, it's just crazy. Now, maybe no on day one, you know, again, depends on the title. However, the great thing is that we can expect some of the biggest AAA titles that are developed by one of Microsoft game studios to be available in the subscription service, so you won't actually need to pay for it, or you know, just join the subscription service. Now, for example, Halo Infinite, the biggest game for the Xbox Series X, will come to Xbox Game Pass, as you can see. Now, do you think that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart will be available on the PlayStation Now at launch at the same day it's released for the PlayStation 5? Well, I don't think so. And you see, Sony needs to really make something to make its subscription service more attractive. So as you can see here, big titles, AAA titles, will come to Xbox Game Pass, and you can actually play them either on Xbox or PC, just paying the subscription service. Whether with the PlayStation 5, well, you can expect, well, to pay for the game. But again, this brings us back to the type of games that you enjoy playing, right? So again, you need to do your own homework and see where you're gonna find lots of games, that either that are going to be released for the Xbox Game Pass for the Xbox Series X, and those that actually you can expect to be released later on down the road. Now, the other thing is the variety of games, but you need to understand, Ren, from time to time when you finish like big games, you can have a gap and you want to play other games, right? So you need to find the console that will provide you, with more games that you can fill out the gaps between the big titles that you enjoy playing. And sometimes maybe you're just gonna enjoy playing some of the small titles. But the thing is, variety is important. It also allows you to discover type of games that you enjoy playing, and again, fill up the time, with different kind of small games that you can enjoy from time to time. Now, this is again because of the advantage that Microsoft has with the Xbox Game Pass. I think this would be a better choice. I enjoy it right now, and I think they have a great service. I personally recommend looking at both, but for me, right now, Xbox Game Pass is the better choice, and this is why I see that if I go with the PlayStation 5, I'm probably going to miss the opportunity to have even more games to play. When I need to kind of make a stop between the big titles that I'm playing, I think I'm going to have a larger variety of games and more games to play through the Xbox Game Pass subscription service. Now, all that being said, you need to consider that with the PlayStation Now, you'll have plenty of games to play as well, because the service has over 750 PS4, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 2 games, which you can play by just subscribing to the service. So what I feel in general, that with the Xbox Series X and with the subscription service, I'll be able to play more games and even save money on some of the biggest titles. Now, to be honest, you don't have to be a professor in order to kind of see what's ahead. Well, you can only look at the games that were released in the past, those were actually released nowadays, and you can probably see what's going to be released in the future, aside from the fact that we already know what some of the games that are going to be released. Now, the thing is that none of the actually game shows really impressed me. And of course, there are games that I'm looking forward to play, but there is like a game that I'm saying, wow, well, I'm going to purchase the console just to play this game. Now, when I look at the past of the games released for the Xbox One compared to the PlayStation 4, and I did, look at the games, even although I own a PS4, I was always looking, what the other is actually offering, and I found myself that more games that I enjoy playing are actually released on the PlayStation 5 rather than on the PlayStation 4 rather than on the Xbox One. So this is another thing to consider. Now, the other thing that is very important, I think many players really want to make sure that their current games of their current gen console will work on next gen consoles. Now, this is a thing where Xbox Series X has an advantage, because Microsoft has stated that Xbox Series X will support all games playable on Xbox One, excluding those that require the Kinect sensor, including those Xbox 360 and original Xbox console games currently supported through backward compatibility on the Xbox One. So these also will be supported. So we are talking about 4 generations of consoles, of games supported in this next-gen console. Now, when it comes to the PlayStation 5, from what I've read, and this is not official, but from what I read, the PlayStation 5, what we know, it will support majority of PlayStation 4 games, but there won't be support for PlayStation 3 and previous generations. Now, it's not stated by Sony, but we know that the PlayStation 4 did not feature any backward compatibility with for PlayStation 3 games, so I don't expect it to be here. But again, nothing official. But if this is the case, well, you can see the advantage that the Xbox Series X has here for those players really want to play previous games released for previous consoles. Now, when it comes to virtual reality, well, this is an easy win for Sony with its PlayStation VR. Not enough to talk here. If you really want to expand your library with a different medium and play virtual reality games, well, Sony is the place to go. Now, because I love virtual reality, well, you can understand why it tickles me to choose Sony in order to be able to play virtual reality games on that platform. Now we can expect another more improved PlayStation VR headset down the road, so this is something to consider as well. So if you love virtual reality, well, you need to put this into your consideration, which is in between the two consoles. Now when it comes to game controllers, I think the PlayStation 5 wins here for me with the DualSense wireless controller that had the advanced haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, and I really like the new design. Whether the Xbox wireless controller seems kind of more or less the same as how it was. I think that Microsoft was more preservative here, but from what I've heard from those who actually tried controllers, from different media outlets and individuals, it seems like a really great controller, and you can really feel like they can really mimic like the feeling of going on different surfaces. It feels like more a textured feeling when it comes to the vibrations, and probably when you play first-person shooters, you're gonna feel that each gun really feel different. For example, I've heard that with a shotgun, you have the adaptive trigger. When you press it, for example, halfway, and you can feel like pressure, resistance, and when you pull it like full way, it's going to release 2 shots instead of 1. But again, this can be used in many type of games, but again, it can introduce new mechanics to game that talks with the hardware and really creates something unique in terms of gameplay experience. Now, I did read on GameSpot, and this was an interview with Phil Spencer, and I'm going to quote what Phil Spencer said to GameSpot. "We think we have good controller in the market today, so we didn't really feel like we need to go back to square one to build a new controller." Well, anyway, this is not words from a visionist, right? It's my opinion. But, well, if you ask me, I prefer what the PlayStation have, the controller, the DualSense controller, and I can't wait to try it out myself. Maybe it's going to be a bigger advantage that you might think. You need to try it yourself, of course. Now, I do think, if you ask me, that this DualSense controller will increase immersion and provide more fun gameplay experiences in general, but again, as I said, we need to wait and see. Now, the other thing that you should consider is, well, the games that are going to launch when the console is released, because, well, if you don't find anything that you want to play, why buy the console on day one? Now, we know that for the Xbox Series X, well, that Halo was postponed to 2021. Well, fine. I feel bad for those who actually really want to play it on day one, but, well, it won't be the case. But some of the exclusive highlights for the Xbox Series X include Dirt 5, Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Bright Memory Infinite, and Outriders. If we look at the PS5, we can find games like Horizon Forbidden West, which is a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Demon's Souls and Sackboy, A Big Adventure, Gran Turismo 7. Again, this is something that you need to look and see which games you personally prefer playing, and this will be something, I don't know, for me, if when I look at these games, this will be like the reason to kind of prefer one console over the other, because of course we need to see kind of down the road, you're going to own the console for years, right? So you need to make sure that you're going to have enough games to play after you finish those launch games. And of course you need to consider the fact that you might not like many of those games, right? Maybe just gonna like one, so, or two. But, well, so what are you gonna do after? Well, that's why launch titles are important, but I probably won't buy a console for one specific title. Now, the last thing for this video is, well, playing with friends, and I think this is not less important than some of the things that I mentioned, because maybe one of the things that you want to do the most is, well, not playing alone. You want to play with your friends, and there are many multiplayer games that you really enjoy playing and looking forward to, and you don't want to play them alone. This is especially true if you have many online friends or friends that close to you that you want to play with. And if you buy a different console, well, you probably won't be able to play with them. Now, of course, this depends on a game, right? Because some games will offer cross-platform support. But if you buy the Xbox Series X, you probably will be able to play with players on PC as well. So you need to kind of think to yourself what titles you enjoy playing and what the ones you are looking forward to play the most, and see kind of which ones support cross-platform play. Or if you don't want to get, in all of that, you just maybe go with the console that your friends have and just enjoy playing with them. Well, because then you don't need to worry about anything. Most of your friends play with a specific console, and you can just go and dive and play with them, and you can be sure to be able to play together a multiplayer game that is supported on the same platform. And I'm sure there are people that for them this is one of the main reasons to buy one console over the other, but for others might not. Alright, so this is it. But it's probably going to be first part. I'm going to find other things I'm going to share with you, but I think we cover lots of things that might interest you when comparing the Xbox Series X versus the PlayStation 5. And I know decisions are hard, and if you can only afford one console like myself, well, you need to kind of think about those things before you make a buying decision. And as of me making this video, well, I have to say I'm still on the fence, right? I'm now leaning towards the PlayStation 5, but a few days ago I was leaning towards the Xbox Series X. When I make a decision, well, I'll tell you. But right now, well, I want to hear your opinion about these specific topics that I've just mentioned in this video. I hope you find this useful. And again, waiting for your comments, and let's discuss it, continue to discuss these things in the comment section below. I want to hear what you think. I'm going to share my information. I'm going to continue reading and find new information. So I'm going to share everything in the comment section below. So make sure we start the conversation there. So thanks for watching, everyone. Consider subscribing to my channel and giving a like, and I see you on the next video. You guys are going to play Halo a bit. Thanks for watching. Cheers.